Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to our Shir and Svasamas Parshas Re'eh Tavshin Peivav. The pasuk tells us that when Klal Yisrael enters into Eretz Yisrael, they're going to find a land filled with Avodah Zarah. And there's an Avodah for Klal Yisrael to go out and Abata Abedan, to go out and to destroy all the Avodah Zarah, the houses of Avodah Zarah, the Mizbeches, the altars that they went ahead and served Avodah Zarah on, the trees that they went ahead and bowed down to. Klal Yisrael needs to go ahead and Abata Abedan, to go out and to destroy all of it. The Ibadatem Eshmam Menamakamu, to go out and to erase and eradicate the name of Avodah Zarah from those places. And then the pasuk continues. It says, "Leisasen kain l'Hashem Elokechem." That which you just did, don't do the same thing l'Hashem Elokechem. Says Rashi, there's one of two ways to understand what this pasuk "Leisasen kain l'Hashem Elokechem." Either it's going back on what was just mentioned. It's going back and eradicating the name of Avodah Zarah. Don't do the same thing l'Hashem Elokechem. What does that mean, says Rashi? Either it means not to go ahead and to be moichik the shame, to erase the name of the Rabbanu Shalom, or it means that the house of the Rabbanu Shalom, the Beis Hamikdash, don't go ahead and take apart. Don't go ahead and destroy, either physically not destroying it, or don't go ahead and do actions which will cause the Rabbanu Shalom to go ahead and destroy it. That's one way Rashi understands what the pasuk is going back on Vibadatem Eshmam, going back on what took place to Avodah Zarah. Don't do the same thing to the name or to the house of the Rabbanu Shalom. The other pshat on Rashi is that it's not going back on what took place previously. Rather, it's going back on the next pasuk. The next pasuk says, "Kima lamakom asher yivchar Hashem Elokechem." That don't look at the Avodah Zarah. Don't look at what the Goyim did. That they went ahead and created an altar. They created a mizbech wherever they wanted in their backyards. Rather, you can only go ahead when it comes to serving the Rabbanu Shalom, and you can only do it only in the base of Bechira, only in the base of Mikdash is the place that a person can go ahead and be Makrav Karbanis, and therefore Leisasan Kain, that which they did, that which they served the Avodah Zarah, and they create a mizbech wherever they want. Leisasan Kain l'Hashem Elokechem. Don't do the same thing for the Rabbanu Shalom. The Heligas Fasemes and the year Taf Reish Lamed Zayin is a different way of understanding what it means Leisasan Kain l'Hashem Elokechem. Says this Fasemes Taf Reish Lamed Zayin at the end of the year. V'yesh tafarish tekoi. It's going on the pasuk right before it, which says you should eradicate, and the name of the Avodah Zarah should be completely eradicated, completely dismissed, as if it was never there. To erase the name of Avodah Zarah. Says this Fasemes. The pasuk is telling us, "Aval sitru de kedusha noida kibikol makom sheyesh hashras kedusha." Nishir la'olam Hashima. Says this Fasemis in the name of the Arizal, that anytime there's Kedusha in a place, even once the Kedusha leaves, there's always going to be a Reshima, an imprint of that Kedusha in that place. The same way if you go ahead and put oil on something, the oil, even if you go ahead and take away the physical oil, even if you can go ahead and pour the oil out of that place, nevertheless there's a Reshima, there's an imprint of where the oil was. The Arizal says that it works the same way, Kaviyachal, in Kedusha. That wherever Kedusha was, even if the Kedusha is no longer there in a visible way, even if the Ashras Shechina is no longer there in a visible way, nevertheless there's a Reshima, there's an imprint of where that Kedusha once was, and there's always going to be a certain amount, a certain level of the Kedusha that's going to remain forever. The Kedusha can never leave a place properly. And therefore, says the Heligas Fasemes, this is what the pasuk is telling us. The Ibadatem Eshmam Menamakamu, that when it comes to Avodah Zarah, you need to eradicate and erase the name of Avodah Zarah from that place as if it was never there, and there is not going to leave an imprint of Sitra Achra. It's not going to leave an imprint of Tumah in that place, because Tumah you can go ahead and eradicate and erase completely. But says the pasuk that when you go ahead and you're able to be connected to Kedusha, even if a moment later maybe you fall, and even if a moment later you don't have the same level of Kedusha that you had a moment ago, nevertheless the imprint of that moment of Aliyah, that moment of Kedusha, that moment of Dveikus that you had is always going to remain with you. There's always going to be a Reshima in that place, and no matter how much you may feel distant, no matter how much you may feel that it's V'abadatem Eshmam, that you went ahead and erased all of the Aliyah, all the Dveikus, all the Kedusha that you had, nevertheless, in the place of Kedusha, you cannot go ahead and erase Kedusha completely. Kedusha will always leave an imprint in the place that it resided, and therefore, Leisasan Kain l'Hashem Elokechem is the Rabbanu Shalom letting us know that Kedusha will always leave a Reshima, that you'll always be able to go ahead and be able to sniff out. You'll always be able to go ahead and be able to pull out a little bit of that Kedusha that remains, to be able to go ahead and to revitalize that place, and to be able to reconnect to the Kedusha that was once there. Says this Fasamas, that's why Afshe Beis HaMikdash Charav. That's why even though the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Mikol Makam, L'Shichnai Tidushu. Nevertheless, the Pasuk says, the next Pasuk, L'Shichnai Tidushu. You have to go ahead and be Deirish, the place of the Makam Hashras HaShchina, as the Pasuk says, Tzion Hu, Deirish Ein La, and the Gemara Rosh Hashanah Darshans, Bechlal D'Bay Drisha, that the place of Kedusha needs a Drisha. You need to go ahead and to search out the place of Tzion, the place of Kedusha, even after the Churban Beis HaMikdash, like the Gemara Rosh Hashanah Darshans and Daf Lamed. You need to search out and look for the place of Hashras HaShchina, even after the Churban Beis HaMikdash. Why? Because of the fact that the Beis HaMikdash, even though it was physically destroyed, and nevertheless left a Rishima in its place. As Chazal say, Kedusha Rishayna is Kitcha L'Shaita, the Kitcha L'Asad Lavai. The Kedusha Rishayna that was there leaves an imprint forever. And even if the Beis HaMikdash is no longer there, and even if when we come to the Kaisel, we see complete Churban, we see that the only thing that's there is a Kaisel Maravi, and everything else is complete Churban, says the Heligas Fasemis, a Yid knows that L'Sas and Kain L'Hashem L'Keichem. A Yid knows that this Mitzvah of Abadat HaMeshmam and Makamahu is not possible by Kedusha. And when you stand by the Kaisel, when you stand by the Makam HaMikdash, you're able to go ahead and understand that the Shechina is still there. The Shechina is like Zaz from that place. From the time of Churban Beis HaMikdash, the Shechina is still there because it's a Makam of Kedusha, and it always goes ahead and leaves a Rishima. And therefore the Pasuk is telling us, Ve'ibata meshmam and makamu le'sas and kein Hashem Elokeichem ki im el hamakam asher yivchar Hashem Elokeichem. You have to recognize that that place that Rabban Hashem chose, the Beis HaMikdash, that the Rabban Hashem chose to make Hashras HaShechina, is still there, and therefore the Shechina tidrishu. Go ahead and be deirish that place. Go ahead and search out the Rishima that's still in that place of Kedusha. Search it out. And the Pasuk continues, Uvasa Shama. And you need to come to that place. On a simple level, it means come to that place and the Beis HaMikdash is there. But says this Fasemes, Uvasa Shama means Ka'al Yidei Zechira, Shemavakshem B'nei Yisrael Tamid B'peh U'B'leiv, B'chol Yom Tamid, Binyan Beis HaMikdash. The fact that we know and we recognize that the Rishima is still there, that the Makam of Hashras HaShechina is still there, that there's still an aspect of Rishima of Kedusha that still remains in that place of the Beis HaMikdash, and we derish it, we darshan it, we go out and we search for it, and we go out and we daven for it constantly. And the fact that we're mavakshen b'nei Yisrael tamid b'peh u'b'leiv, the fact that we're davening constantly, v'sechazena einenu, the fact that our leiv is constantly facing towards the Beis HaMikdash when we daven, b'chol yom tamid b'nei Beis HaMikdash al yidei zeh yis'oira koyach Rishima hanisher kaim la'olam. We're able to go out and reawaken, so to speak, that Rishima that's able to be there, and Memela uvasa shama. Memela will be able to come back there, not when the Beis HaMikdash was around, but now, today, we'll be able to go ahead and be able to come back to the place and go and be able to go ahead and be able to have the Rabban Hashem be boine the Beis HaMikdash Hashlishi b'meher v'yimenu. But it's up to us to recognize that the Rishima of Kedusha never leaves, to daven for it, to search for it, to go ahead and to daven that the Rabban Hashem brings back the Hashras HaShechina to that makim, and Memela uvasa shama. Memela will be zeicha to be able to have the Geula Shleima. The Sfasema says v'yegeula al yedei b'meher v'yimenu, and through our belief that it's impossible to go ahead and v'bata meshmam, through our belief that it's impossible to destroy and eradicate the name of Kedusha, and through going ahead and being doirish l'shichna tidushu, memela uvasa shama, will be zeicha to be able to go ahead and have binyan Beis HaMikdash, be able to go ahead and have the Hashras HaShechina with BS Goyal Tzedek. And memela, this is our avodah, to go ahead and to recognize Kedusha never leaves a place completely, to daven, to search for it, to pull it out, to bring it out, and memela, to be able to go ahead and create again the makam of Hashras HaShechina. And as we said, this goes both by the individual who goes ahead and has a makam of Hashras HaShechina, that a person goes ahead and asali mikdash v'shechanti b'seichem b'seichel echad v'echad, and a person feels that his personal Beis HaMikdash has been destroyed. A person needs to recognize that it's impossible. It's impossible to have ibada meshmam. When it comes to Kedusha, there's always going to be a Rishima, Leisas and Keila Hashem Elokeichem, and obviously when it comes to the Geula Klali, to recognize that in that Makam of Hashras HaShechina, there still is a Rishima of Hashras HaShechina. There still is an aspect that's there, and our avodah is the Shechna Tidushu, to be Deirish it, and Memela will be Zeicha, and Rich Hashem to Uvasa Shama, to have both the Geula Klali and the Geula Prati, ben Meher V'Yameinu. Amen.